I'm excited to have with me David Oulton. He is a TV host of the show called Face to Face with David, and he's here today to talk about his passion when it all began. He's also a Canadian TV and film actor, and I'd like you to welcome David.
Hi, thank you so much.
Yeah, so glad to see you, and I wanted to congratulate you on your show. How exciting is that?
It's it is so surreal. Thank you so much. It's crazy. Thank you so much. It's yeah, surreal is the best word for it.
Yeah, so but you know what? It's a lot of hard work. I mean, tell us from you're an actor, a real estate, a realtor. So tell us about your journey.
Um, it all just comes down to I don't like being bored. I think COVID this was born from COVID and just sitting around the house and having nothing to do when you're on lockdown. Real estate is slow, film has shut down. Um, I'm just kind of sitting here thinking we've got nothing but time. So if we can put something together, that's great. Why not give it a shot? And it just has become so much bigger and so much crazier than we ever imagined. Like it's doing so well in the US right now, which is again surreal and unexpected. So I think it just boils down to the fact that there's so much time in the day, and I'd rather be productive with it as much as I can rather than sit around and just do nothing. I think any wasted time is wasted time. So
hmm David, like I'm curious to know, as when was the moment that you knew I want to create this show? Was it where were you when?
it it actually started in April. So the end of April, I had a conversation with a few people just saying I am losing my mind with boredom. I think I'm going to start recording videos and posting them on Instagram. That was somewhere around the April 25th or April 27th, somewhere around the end of April. By the end of the first week of June, we had already wrapped the first season on a TV show for Amazon Prime in the US and Europe and Asia. Like it came so quickly. Like after having that conversation, within a couple of days, the deal was signed with Amazon. From there, it just grew. There was a producing team, and we had a budget, and it just got so big so fast.
Yes, and so it's a weekly show, right?
Um, Sort of. I mean, the whole thing is on Prime right now. So we released the first episode early, and now the plan was to do a weekly show, and now we're just going to drop the whole season at once on Amazon. So I think by the time this airs, it should be on Amazon. So it's kind of we geared away from current events and COVID and world events that are good. We touch on it a little bit. I think you have to touch on some things a little bit, but we tried to keep the conversations more timeless. And the whole purpose is that when you're watching it, it's kind of an escape and just like take a break from everything and just have a really nice casual conversation, have some laughs, learn something perhaps. There's just so much craziness going on right now. So
Yes.
that was kind of the intention with it. So
hmm Well, it's entertaining. I've seen some of your episodes, and
thank
it
you.
it's sort of it gets your mind off things, and that's the intention, right? But also feeding information, like it's educational as well as entertaining.
Absolutely. So we tried to make it seem like I'm genuinely curious about a lot of things, especially speaking with these people. There's a lot that I wanted to learn from them. So we wanted it to feel not like you're watching, a formal Barbara Walters special. It was supposed to feel as though you, as the audience and the viewer, are watching in on a much more casual conversation between myself and someone else, where I get to ask questions and be curious and get advice that's then shared with everyone. So there's lots of laughs, but then there's also lots of really genuine and authentic moments, and I ask advice a lot from these people, and everyone was willing to share their own experiences, and I think it was just a little bit of a different take on the typical interview style.
hmm And David, so the questions that you ask is most of the time is what viewers want to know. They want to know. So
Right.
yeah. So that's
And I think everybody was. I'm trying to think. I don't think there was one person who wasn't receptive. And I mean, we pushed the boundaries a little bit. I mean, we asked, a lot of these big film and entertainment and business people, we asked them questions like, what is it like to win an Emmy? What does it feel like when your name is called at these big events? But then we also asked just really curious questions. Like I talked to Perez Hilton and asked him, is it true that you have $30 million like the internet says? And do you have any regrets? And he was so open and so authentic and willing to answer absolutely anything. So
yes, and you do your research, which is so important. You find out about as much information as you can, and you don't believe everything that you read, and that's why you said, is that true?
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So the guests you've had so far on the show, like, is there a favorite one, or is that everyone is?
I don't think there's a favorite. I think it would be rude to say there's a favorite. I mean, probably Carson Kressley was great. He's their first guest on the first episode. That was great. The fact that he took time to do it was really, really nice. And so that one stands out. Deborah DiGiovanni, I think between she and Renee Watson, they were hysterical. They were so funny. And Perez was the most surprising to me. I had a preconception of what I thought the interview would be like. He's such a polarizing and sometimes controversial figure, but also such a massive force in the industry. I had an idea of where I thought things would go, and he completely surprised me by how open he was and authentic and genuine and just willing to answer everything from a really personal perspective.
That's wonderful. And like the thing is, when you are, your stuff, your research, and I want to ask you, is there a typical day? Like tell us about your day.
Filming or just in general?
And like filming, what's the process like?
Yeah, so we filmed because of COVID. We did a lot of it in my house, like actually behind where I've got this camera set up. We filmed just on the other side there. It was very relaxed. It was a small crew. There were 6 of us, like in the house filming. And so we started at about 8:00 in the morning, and we would go till either 7 or 8:00 at night. Everything was filmed out of order. So our first interview that we taped with Valerie Hubbard in New York City, she's actually the last episode on the season. So she's the last guest on the final episode. And it was very much typical day. It was just it was structured, but not at the same time. We would do the interviews, then we would have about an hour gap between each interview and time to because the guests were, sorry, the dog is just whining their stuff. It's okay.
He can come and say hello.
It's okay, stop. Because every guest was so different and so diverse, we would tape the interview and then here we go.
Hello.
There was a lot of this going on. Special
guest.
Chloe.
Hi.
Every time. Sorry, I'm like.
Don't. This is great. I love this. It's so entertaining.
This is what it was like. You want to know what the typical day was like? We tried to have a structure, but it was like this. We would have our schedule for the day, but then either the power would go out, Chloe would jump in. With COVID, it was so trying to put everything together the best we could. But in terms of how we did the interviews would go anywhere from 10 minutes to, over an hour, depending on the guest and how much they wanted to speak and what they had to say. And then we would break for about an hour between filming, and it would give time to kind of decompress after the interview and then also prepare for the next one. So I wanted everyone to feel like that they were the only guest and that we had spent all this time preparing for which we had done, but I didn't want to be still stuck on the last interview before going into the next one. And then we just spent hours, we had half a day of just filming intros and exits and content with just myself and things like, so it was a learning curve. It was a big learning curve.
Yeah. So what do you like most?
Just talking to the guests and learning and having that opportunity to talk to someone like Carson Kressley or you know, Brene Watson, for example, she's won 2 Emmys for her work on General Hospital, and she's such a big, massive, well-known actress, and so recognizable. It was just really great to be able to sit with her and ask her, what does that feel like when you find out you're being nominated for an Emmy, like such a massive award? And what is it like sitting there when they're showing the clips and calling your name? And what is that? I just love being able to ask those questions and get really, down to the very personal, very intimate moments of that. Carson Kressley, for example, he's a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race. Being able to ask him, what do you look for when you're sitting at the judges' table? What's going through your mind? I'm trying to think of another example. Perez Hilton, being able to ask Perez, what does that feel like, having the power to make or break people's careers with your website? What is that like on the other side of it that we don't get to see every day? I think that was my favorite part.
That's wonderful. And I love the set. You have a glass of wine in your hand, and it's just so, as I said at the beginning, it takes your mind off COVID and problems. And it's just, was this your concept or just?
Absolutely. The whole thing, I wanted it to feel, I'm looking on television and I'm seeing that all of these other shows are doing virtual interviews, and they're so boxed in, and you can see that people are putting so much effort into it. I'm like, what if we just strip everything back? And like I said earlier, to have it feel like the viewer is watching in on just a FaceTime. If I was sitting here on FaceTime with someone, this is exactly where I would be. And I'd be on the phone, casual, on the couch, glass of wine, and just chatting, casually with people. And we wanted it to feel like that. And we wanted it to be the complete opposite of a formal interview style. And so I said, obviously there's a little bit of production that goes into it with the robe and the wine and such. But we wanted that feel, that it was casual, and that this is people, they're in their homes. Most of the guests are sitting in their homes, and it's what they would be looking like if they were at home during the lockdown, and having these kinds of conversations and sitting on the couch. And some people didn't wear makeup, and some people didn't dress up for it. Some people, were in their bedroom, like Perez was in his bedroom, for example. Like it was meant to be the complete opposite of what we're being bombarded with, and that you could just sit and enjoy it and just take a breather and relax and grab a drink and have a glass of wine while you're watching it.
Mm-hmm. So how do you maintain your stamina? Like how do you do it?
A lot of coffee. A lot of coffee. Yeah. That's basically it. A lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee. And
long, long days. So
yes. And so what is next for you, David?
We've got another season that we're hoping to start working on right away. The response has been so great with this. And I'm so grateful to everyone, like reading reviews and reading comments from people. So we're going to see where we can take this show, and see how far we can go with it. I do have a real estate business, so that keeps me busy as well. And I just love doing that. Maybe some other acting. There's a lot of potential right now. And I think no one really knows from one day to the next what's going to happen with everything going on in the world. So I'm just open to possibilities.
Yes. And as I said earlier, it takes a lot of hard work and to be where you are. And I said at the beginning, you're a realtor, you're still doing that, and acting. So those skills have been transferable to where you are now as a popular TV host.
Absolutely. It's, I started in film from when I was younger, and that gave me, I think, the skill set to be able to work with this. She's just resigned herself that she's not the center of attention. And there's the eye roll. Those skills have really helped with real estate and being able to talk and interact with really any client. I don't pigeonhole myself into anyone. I'm open to working with anyone. And then I think that then transferred to the talk show, being able to speak and engage and find out what people's motivations are and what people's intent is, and, really strip back the show of it all, and get down to the root of everything. So.
Yes. That's wonderful. And Chloe's
She's she she likes to have the attention.
I, but so if people want more information, where can they go?
Social media. I mean, like I said, this is so new. So there is a website, I guess, but social media, and I interact with everyone. I get a lot of messages about the show and a lot of questions about it and stuff. But you can follow, not to follow me on social media, but you can follow on social media and ask questions, and that's where I post everything. And for everybody watching and seeing how crazy this thing has she's lost interest in what I'm saying. That's not a good sign. Even the dog's yawning. For everybody watching and seeing how crazy we put this together so quickly and how big it's going, it's the same for me as well. So I'm sharing this with everybody else. It's every time I see a news article or a review, or people were surprised by the ratings. Like we have a 5 out of 5, like a 5-star rating on Amazon Prime in the US right now, which I'll brag for a second. Yesterday, I was looking at this media kit that they put together, and it's it had us ranked next to the Stephen Colbert Show, Ellen DeGeneres, shows in Canada like The Social and the Marilyn Dennis Show, and we're ranking higher in viewer ratings and viewer reviews, and our star ratings on Prime than all of those other shows. And it's so crazy, and people are so surprised, but I'm also surprised by it. So I'm sharing this with everyone, and it is so unexpected and so surreal, and it's I'm along for the ride just like everybody else is.
Well, you know what? It takes a team, and you're so passionate about what you do. I mean, you do several things, and just want to congratulate you again. Thank you so much, and goodbye to Chloe. And yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll check back in with you in a few months if you like. And
yeah, please do. And if you like, I'm not used to being interviewed. So if you need anything, like, let me know. Anything I could do. This probably wasn't great. I'm long-winded with my answers, so let me know.
Wonderful. It was very genuine, authentic. That's what I love. So thank you again, David. And I will might take a clip of you and Chloe if that's if I can post that on social media.
No, please, yeah, anything at all.
Okay, watch.
Yeah, do you want her back again?
Yeah, please, yes.
Chloe, come here. Come. Chloe, come.
Oh, probably wants her walk. Hi, Chloe.
Wait, who's this?
Chloe. She can.
Yeah, this is what life is like. Trying to do a show in my house with a German Shepherd who is. Oh, there we go. Now she's looking for you at the door. This is what it's like. This is what it's like. I mean, you've got Brene Watson, who everybody knows her from the mom on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, sitting here talking to us about racism in Hollywood and the Big Bang Theory and what it's like winning her second Emmy and what it felt like when she gets her name called and walking up to the stage. And then we're like, oh, can we just pause for Chloe for 1 second? So that's what it was like.
God, yeah. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you as well. I can't wait to see this. Thank you so much for the opportunity as well.
Yes. Okay.
Bye.